So welcome everyone. This is Startup Grind Boston, Prepare for VC, Boston New Technology event. We have different organizations all coming together to support the local startup community and beyond. I'm based in Boston. We do everything from webinar events, in-person events around the city, and also host cohort-based programs as well. Next week's a big week. We're gonna have there's the TechCrunch early stage conference coming to Boston, and we're doing a startup weekend hackathon event with Techstars and a few other organizations. So a lot of in-person events happening next week, and always really exciting. I think we like to do a mix because when we do webinars, it's something, everybody can tune in. They can dedicate an hour during the day. They can learn from an expert, whether they're in the Boston area too or around the world, kind of bring the community together to learn about different topics and experiences, and get to learn from all the leaders that we bring into the community here. And yeah, I had the opportunity to meet Louis a couple months ago, and then read his book, Bullseye Marketing. You're going to learn more about his strategies here today, and I'd encourage everybody also to pick up a copy, either physical, audiobook, whatever you prefer to. It's a great read. I learned a lot from that, and I'm sure you're all going to learn a lot from today's session. And we want to keep it open to if you want to, you know, introduce yourselves in the chat, put your name, LinkedIn, companies you're working with, and then we can also keep the chat open for, keep a record of questions you have along the way to come back to at the end of the presentation. But with that, really excited to introduce Louis and have you kick us off here.
All right, thank you, Jason. Excited to be here today, and hope you all find this useful. Yeah, please do introduce yourself in the chat, and please tell me, are you building a B2B or B2C company? And how many customers would you say are in your total addressable market? What do you estimate that to be? And I am going to open chat. So please do that. I'm going to start with a story here as you put in that information. So this is an infographic that a guy in Boston named Scott Brinker puts out every year, and he's been doing it for the last dozen years or more. And it's an infographic of the entire marketing technology landscape, companies that offer some form of marketing software or data. And this has grown over the last dozen years to several hundred companies to over 10,000 now, and in dozens of categories. And you can see that in each category, these dots are the icons of the companies in each of the categories. And you can see that in each category, there are hundreds of competitors. So it's a very competitive landscape. And I just want to tell you about one company in the email marketing sector, MailChimp. And MailChimp was started in 2001. Some of you may have used it. You may be familiar with it. And it was two guys who had a marketing agency, and they thought that their customers needed email marketing, and they didn't like any of the tools that were out there. And so they created their own email marketing tool. And they never took on investors. I'll be talking about a lot of companies that do take on investors today. But they kept, after a while, they stopped doing the marketing services, and they just focused on selling this email marketing program. And they added more features to it, but their competitors added more features as well. But the founder and the CEO said MailChimp had a proximity to its customers that its competitors lacked. And if you look deeply into it, you'll see that MailChimp had a distinctive brand, a tone, and content that produced over 1 million visits a year to its site ultimately. Eventually, they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month just on search ads. So they had very aggressive marketing. They claimed to be easier to use. They ranked 11th for this on the G2.com site. So they had a very good product, but it wasn't extraordinary. And by 2021, they had grown their revenue to $800 million a year. Most of it was recurring. And at that point, they were acquired by Intuit, and the employees received $200 million, and the two co-founders split $12 billion. And you see this over and over again. MailChimp is not a unique example of this, that the companies with the best marketing win and grow much faster than their competitors. So I did a study of SaaS companies, and I have this 9-point digital marketing scorecard that I use, where I look at 9 digital marketing tools and channels and to see if they're active in there. And for SaaS companies, they scored very high. The median was that they were in 7 of the 9. And I consider 5 to be kind of a minimum. If you're not at 5, you're not really doing serious marketing. But more importantly, what I found was that the companies in the most channels with the most robust marketing programs were growing about 5 times faster than the companies with the really weak marketing programs. And this is something, as I said, that you see in industry after industry. Mark Benioff, who's the Salesforce co-founder and CEO, said, and this is the young Mark Benioff in this photo, and this is when he said this. This is about 20 years ago. Today Salesforce is a $20 billion company, but back then they were a startup, just like you guys. And he said, a brand is a company's most important asset. A company can't own its facts. If the company's facts, speed, price, quality are superior to the competition, any good competitor will duplicate them, or worse, improve upon them as soon as possible. What a company can own, however, is a personality or a brand. All right, let me tell you another story about 2 companies that were startups in the video doorbell market about 7 or 8 years ago, when that was what one of them called an emergent market, a new market. And Skybell, this is the first page of a lawsuit by Skybell against one of their competitors, Ring. And I love this because Skybell is so snarky in this lawsuit. And they say, Skybell is the technological and intellectual market leader. We have 71 US patents. Ring, by contrast, has taken a different approach. Ring has devoted itself and attention and resources to advertising and marketing. And they don't have nearly the same success with research and development. They only have 3 patents. And so Skybell was saying that Ring had infringed on its patents. Well, Skybell lost this lawsuit, and they lost in the market as well. Ring did, in fact, have a more successful approach by focusing on marketing. And they captured over 40% of the market, and they were acquired by Amazon, a very successful exit for them. One more example, this is a study that's done every year by a group called the Hinge Research Institute, where they look at professional services groups. And they find that the ones that spend the most on marketing, which is typically about 5 times more than the low spending companies, grow 3 times faster than the low spending ones. And so you just see this all the time. The companies, including startups that market better, grow faster. I know, that typically startups are very focused on product, and product is important. You have to have a good product, but a good product with great marketing will crush a great product with no marketing. So I was asking you to put in how big what you're doing. and what your total addressable markets are. And some are saying a couple thousand and so forth. So everybody has a total addressable market. And if you're a B2B company, it may be a few thousand, it may be 10,000, it may be 50 to 100,000, it may be millions. If you're a consumer B2C company, you likely could have a much larger total addressable market in terms of number of customers. But the problem is that at any one moment, only about 5% of these customers are even open to considering buying from you or any of your competitors. They're just not interested at that moment in what you're selling. And if you've been in business for a while, you understand this, you kind of get, brushed off by a lot of companies that you're approaching. They're not interested. And research has been done on this as well, and it's sometimes called the 95-5 rule. And it's because they don't think they need what you're selling, or they know that they need it, but it's not a current priority and there's no budget, or they already have it and they're happy with their solution and vendor, or they're unhappy with their solution and vendor, but they don't want to go through at this moment, the hassle and maybe the switching costs of moving to a new vendor, or any number of other reasons. They're just not, no matter what you say, no matter what you offer, they're not going to be interested in buying from you. And when a customer does decide to buy, they will have a short list, and their short list may be very short. So this was a study that was done by an analyst group called the Real Story Group that I was doing some work for a few years ago, writing reviews of technology companies. And they did a survey of their customers who had recently acquired a digital asset management system. These tend to be big companies because these are big databases for organizing and categorizing the digital assets of a company. And of course, today, pretty much all of our assets are digital. Originally, these were used for videos and images and blueprints and so forth. But there's a lot of, it's a big global system, and it's big global companies that acquire it and use it. And they found that when they surveyed their customers who had recently acquired a DAM, most of them did not have a formal selection process. The majority had not conducted vendor demos. They hadn't talked to other customers. They hadn't even issued RFPs. And the reason for this was that the majority of the companies that acquired a new DAM only talked to one vendor because they had identified who their preferred vendor was, and they just went with them. And you see this over and over in business. This is the founder and CEO of Acton, who said most of our new customers only considered Acton. And I've had that, with businesses that I've been involved with. Someone refers you, you talk to the prospect, they like what you have to say, and it's a done deal. So a lot of customers do not make the kind of rational comparative decision-making processes that we think they do, or that, in our imagination they're doing. They often do these kinds of very more subjective processes. And so that 5% that may be open to buying what you're selling actually is only maybe 2 or 3% that's open to buying and considering new vendors. So you're getting down to a kind of needle in a haystack kind of problem here. There's a kind of dark market you might think of. Of some opportunities in your market. You have some prospects that you're talking to, but there's a lot bigger market out there that's happening and you're not aware of it. And becoming the preferred vendor in advance of the decision to buy is a huge strategic advantage. And this is what brands do. So you might think of two of the primary marketing jobs. They're not the only ones, but two primary marketing jobs are to identify and connect with those few who do want to buy now, and to build what's called mental availability with those many who don't want to buy now, but will want to buy in the future. And one of the big problems in marketing, one of the reasons many companies fail in marketing, is that they only do number one. They only focus on who's buying today, and they don't talk to the vast majority of their market that is going to be buying in the future to build that mental availability. And mental availability is when you are at the top of the mental shortlist. It's a combination of awareness and trust and preference so that you're the one vendor or maybe the one or two that they talk to when they're ready to buy. So as a startup, your first 10 or 20 customers will usually come from your founders' networks and director outreach, but marketing's role is to help you get the next 1,000. So I want to talk today about two major types of marketing. There's others,